You gotta say it again for the camera.
Warp 9 frame slider and track side lift.
What is that, 10mm?
Pop these, loosen your axles, your bindings, so you can slide the axle out. There's your binds. Just kind of give this a little tap until this falls out. Free. This is speedo. Just to disconnect your speedo. Your whole brake system should come out.
Oh, that little max of speedo sensor?
Yeah, so you can swap this out to your other brake, so you can run the speedo on the trails. I obviously don't care, so I'm just gonna leave it on for my street wheels. You know what I mean? Just take it, slide it on in. Oh, you'll need to make sure you grab this clip too. This is what's gonna hold your brake in place. Your pads. This will snap in, so if it's a little loose, because they're different sizes, I'll give it a little bend. Not much, just enough so it can snap in. So once you snap these back into place, pretty much put your brakes back in, but I like to wait till I get the wheel back on. So I'll hang that. The smaller the brake is, the rotor compared, I want to put it next to him.
Yeah.
grime on your axle when you slide it in. So the next time you need to slide it out.
I don't have the right tools here.
Yeah.
If I had a rubber mallet, I could do it one hand.
Yeah. In this video, we'd actually use a rubber mallet, so we're using a.
We're out in the woods here, so we're gonna use what nature gives us.
Yeah, we're not so lucky today. Usually done with a rubber mallet though. But easily done. Got it in.
And you don't have to worry about it going all the way through. Because once you thread this down and you actually tighten it down to the spec, it'll actually suck the axle back into where it needs to be.
What's that thing?
So we'll go ahead and lightly tighten this down. We don't want to lock it down yet. Alright, just got it so there's not much play. We'll go ahead and get our brakes set up. Aside from the speedo, you got to remove this post, which helps keep the other bracket locked in. So this is a size 11. Pretty much everything else on the bike is a size 10. I don't know why they run this a size 11. There you go. So you have this pin that runs to the top.
Yeah.
This pin needs to secure on this side. So you'll see where it lines up.
Oh, so you took that pin out and then.
Slide this back into here. Alright. Little rubber boot on the top. And your brakes will slide in. One last thing you'll also want to check. Pistons will be slightly out. So you want to slowly press that in. Not too hard. Just a little bit. You can see where all your brackets line up. We have to add this washer in when we do the street brake setup because the pin just goes in just a little too far and we'll run the third setup. We have enough clearance just to go right in. Alright. Some pads. Slide it up to the bottom. And you'll notice at the top here, right from the top here,
Cicada.
we'll snap into that little bracket up top. I don't know if you can see it through there.
Oh wait, I can see it. I don't know if the camera can see it.
Alright, so once you get that in that bracket, you can slide a pin in, just hold that one in. You don't have to go all the way, just kind of hold that brake there. Then you got to get the back side in, so you have to press the brake in. Slide the back plate up. bracket gets in that top piece. So you notice that it's locked in. So at this point, we can go ahead, hold the brakes, and get our pin slip through, which just happens to be on the other side. Slide our pin through, get it locked in, get our cotter pin.
Yep, right there. Cotter pin.
Locked. And that's it. Speedo will zip tie up here so it doesn't fly around, but normally the Speedo would attach in right to the cable that's popped into that hole right there. Zip tied up because we're not going to use the Speedo. Taking his washer for our street setup. The last part of locking down your front wheel is you'll get this cranked down to spec. Once this is cranked down to spec here, you'll tighten these two collars, which will lock this side, leaving this side loose. Push down on the handlebars, compressing the handlebars 2 or 3 times. This is what's going to automatically straighten out the forks. Once we do that, we'll lock down the right side of the fork to spec, and the front wheel will be true. Just need to crank that back now.
Trusty hammer and wood again.
Get an axle knock. And this is what makes it easy. You'll see on this. This part pops out, so at this point you'll pull the axle out, but you'll want to keep weight. Now I have a trick for my street wheels. I don't like to get them scratched up by this, by the brake, so I'll be right back. There's tools where you go to a hardware store to get your bike. Here we went to Walmart, we got ourselves an ankle sock. I'm gonna go ahead and slide the ankle sock over the brake when it comes time to taking the wheel off, so that way we don't scratch our nice rims up like we did the first time we were installing it. Go ahead and just take the pressure off the axle and slide her on out.
Okay.
Surface, so you're not getting all the debris. Because you can see it's nicely greased. How easy it slid right out.
Ready? Roll. Yep.
Alright. Get the master off. Get the screwdriver. If you're like me and you press your links, is it? Get your master link off. Take all your pieces here. It's still nice and tight, so we can press this back on later. That's it. Oop.
So,
Make sure we have our sock on here now that we're all released. Work your wheel up and out.
there we go.
One last thing you want to remember with your warp 9s, if you're running cush drive, you want to lay it down your rotor side up, your rotor side down rather, your sprocket side up, and And you're gonna want to make sure you zip tie this down, because this is your whole cush drive. This will just fall. This will just come out. Okay. This will come out. This is your whole cush drive system. So you want to make sure that when you put this up in storage, you run a couple zip ties around just to make sure this doesn't fall off. For now, we'll just leave it laid down. Stock, and you kind of get an idea how the brake system works. Good old handy sock. Only one once.
Only one once.
You'll see on this side. Your brake system kind of just works on the slide. It's attached on the frame here. So it kind of locks into place. You want to make sure your axle lines up on this side and you're ready to go. I run 2 different chains because I run 2 different size sprockets. So I'll go ahead and put this chain back. You can see my Grammy dirt chain, which will get cleaned up once we put it on and re-greased. So we'll start getting our rear wheel. I'll drop it down below the brake pad. Make sure this is lined up. And now, aside from your brake lining up with your pad, you'll see your sprocket needs to line up in the guide here. So we'll go ahead and lift up into this. Get our axle ready. Place. Always easier with 2 hands, two people, but for today's purposes, we're going to show you how to do this. So the Lolo while out in the woods. So you'll see I cinched the brake up, the brake's lined in. I'll use this trusty block that I have here to help me as a second pair of hands. Kind of hold this tire up. Try to get the second axle started here. Okay, get some more. Stand up so I can get some better leverage. Alright, Dad, this is just this piece falling out on this side. This will just slide back in. But you'll notice we have the brake lined up. We have the sprocket lined up. We'll go ahead and just slide that over. Alright, so one final push through. And just a quick hand tighten. So she doesn't come popping out. And what I like to do is loosen our tension bolts here for our chain. Before we put our chain in so we can get the bolt on slide. Yes, 13 is the big bolt. 13 is your large nut, so we'll go ahead and loosen that up. And I can't stress enough how much you should maintain your bike. These bolts were put in with anti-seize, or anti-seize, whatever you call it. So you can see how easy this turns. I can turn this with 2 fingers. Want to make sure that this doesn't seize up on you because you'll really be screwed out there. With the wrong chain tension, you can pop a chain, blow a sprocket, really do some damage. So go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. You can see, nice anti-seize keeps everything nice and look, I can loosen this with my hands. I don't even need a wrench on this. You know, this is what this locking bolt is for, so you can keep this nice and loose. Alright, so we got enough space now here to play around with, so we're going to get our chain fitted.
Yeah, the back goes way easier.
Yeah. Feed this through. It helps if you use a screwdriver just to kind of keep everything lined up. Feed this to your bottom chain guide. And I like to cinch up right on the top. So obviously these need to come in some, so we'll go ahead and loosen down. Alright, we have to loosen down a little bit more. Reason being is we're running a 45 tooth rear sprocket on the street wheels. We're running a 51 for the woods. This is kind of the gearing that I prefer. Everybody can love what they like. Right now we got room to bring our wheel in. You can see how much easier it is. Just get that lined up, just so we can get our master set in. Plate on. So. Alright, we got our little cheap little handy chain breaker tool, you know, also chain press for our master links. Shout out to Harbor Freights. We got the cheap little tool. Throw this on there. You can also pick this up at Cycle Gear, guys. I think I have another set that I actually scooped up from Cycle Gear. So what you want to see here is you'll notice there will be two pressing plates. You're going to want the one with the two round holes. That's going to be pressing on the front of the plate. That's going to allow these pins to slide through. This back plate is basically to hold just the back in place while you're pressing. So we put this back plate on the bottom. Place the press plate in the front. And line it up. So we have our master here. And slide it. Give it a little more room. Plate in the back. You'll notice that there's a little groove there, so you'll kind of line up the kind of line up the back plate with the two pins that are in the back. And you want to line up these holes with these holes. You kind of feel it, and you'll put the hand tighten in and kind of take a peek through here. Right in the front here, you should be able to see these two pins. See them?
Yeah, I can see them.
Just drop it in. Make sure it's still lined up. That should be good, folks. I'm going to back off and see if we can get this clip on. Yep, there's enough room to get the clip on. Just to show you, always recommend using a new clip, a new master link. Obviously we're out in the woods, I don't have another set with me that's easy to use, but you want to make sure that your clip is nice and straight. It's got some tension in between. It's not twisted. Go ahead and slide this on. And I'll just use this front pin. Back. You hear that snap into place there. Make sure there's nothing. And we're good to go. Doing it so I can get the. I'm setting my chain length real quick. And it's getting somewhat tight. Just so as I'm adjusting it, it's sliding. Let it just touch the bolt. So I feel a little tension. That's good right there. I won't know until I take this off the stand and I get my buddy to sit on it and get that axle. But that seems about there, so I'm going to put the third notch to the middle of this. lock this down to spec. You see we have the rear axle set for 70 foot-pounds torque. Now, shout out to Harbor Freight for this. This tool was about over $100-something at another place. I think I paid like $30-something at Harbor Freight. My buddy like, oh, it's a cheap tool, it's not gonna be set the same. We've gone pound for pound next to his, tightening up axles. They lock at the same foot per pound. I'm telling you, save your money, go to Harbor Freight. One last thing, you gotta make sure you tighten this collar down. Guys, torque this down a bit.
Yeah, the other side too.
Oh. That's free.
Oh, so
So we can align the wheel. There we go. Now that that's locked, build back up some pressure in the front brake from pressing that piston, taking those pads out. Alright, good now. Basically just want to get balance so the bike's square. Lock that front brake in. Alright, Dave, can you just torque that down? That's where you need it. And we are good to lock down the right side of the axle now. Guys, I believe the torque from the axles are 14 foot-pounds. Too tight. So I'm going to go ahead and soak it in just a little bit. Loosen this side, just a little. There. I'll have to loosen the axle while Dave's on it. A little bit of weight off. Notice how tight this is. Go in. Come on. And it doesn't take many rotations to get this thing to loosen. You'll feel it. Loosen it up because you see his weight kind of sucked it in there. Now that's some good slap right there. That's some good slap. Just roll forward, Dave, so we can make sure the chain's still straight. That's good there. Tighten these down. Alright, should be good to lock it down. Now guys, last thing I want to tell you is with your chain, don't play with your chain tension. You should look up OEM with respect. I've been doing this for quite some time, changing back and forth, so I kind of got a feel for it. You definitely want to go with spec for your bike, just so it's running properly, and you get the best use out of your parts.